Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to another week of Force of Will news. So a whole lot of stuff to go over this week. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of announcements. Competition happened. Just a whole lot of stuff to go over. So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. We'll build through different themes. So we'll go ahead and start with the pre-release. They announced the playmat and the promo for it. So as you can see here, this is the promo. Pretty awesome. We're getting Self, another Vingo 3 card. Great to have. And it's pretty cool art, I think. And then we also have this playmat right here, which is pretty cool looking. I actually really am digging the art on there. Some people point out, I think like the little part above her head or something makes it look like that she might be possessed by Valentina or something like that. I'm not sure of the specifics of it, but that would be kind of interesting twist. I'm also really digging the logo, as you can see there in the corner, or I'll just put up the logo. It's a lot different than what we usually see with the Force of Will logos, and I'm really liking the look of it. It's pretty cool. Outside of the pre-release, they showed announced the actual booster box. So here we have the booster box, what it looks like and all that. And the first thing you'll notice is they no longer are doing the booster box we had for the last two sets, where it was that cool, really sturdy box. You open it, you can store your cards in it after you've opened your packs. It was pretty much the coolest idea ever for a booster box. And they're going back to the old one, so I'm not sure why. It also looks like it's the old one, unless I'm mistaken. It looks like the one that's like flimsy cardboard opening up type of thing, instead of the sturdy cardboard one they had ever since Battle for Atarakia, I think is when they started with the nicer box before they transitioned to the current one. So don't know why they're reverting that far back, especially with the huge positive reception they've had ever since the Raya Cluster started to the Ancient Knights and Advent of the Demon King booster box. But I don't know, your guess is best as mine. We also have the playmat you get when you buy 6 boxes. Notice it's 6 boxes now instead of 3 to get the playmat. Once again, kind of unfortunate, but I can see why they went. I think that's usually the standard for most other card games, is buying a full case to get those sort of goodies. So it's understandable, but a little bit unfortunate, because 3 boxes was very attainable for a lot of people. But here's the playmat you get for it. And also here's the buy a box promo. So pretty awesome stuff. Like I said, I like all the art and everything is pretty cool. We also got the announcement of announcement of the starter deck that's going to be accompanying it, called Lost Tomes. It looks like it's just one random starter pack. They say starter pack in this poster, but the thing actually says constructed deck. So some interesting terminology there. So it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. It's just one, as far as we know right now, called the Lost Tomes. Looks like it's got a brand new ruler. It comes with 32 resonators, 8 chance, 5 special magic stones, 5 and 5 basic stones. So some point out 5 special magic stones. That could mean for a playset of one of them, like dual stones or something like that. And maybe we'll get the introduction, since there's one other special magic stone, maybe we'll get the reintroduction of true magic stones. If you guys don't remember, it's true magic stone was a special magic stone type of thing, except you can only run 1 in your entire stone deck. You couldn't run more than that. So I really liked them. Little Red the Pure Stone was one of the most popular ones, but there's some other cool ones. So that'd be cool to get the reintroduction of those. I really like the idea behind them. And then obviously resonators and chance. You got the ruler. If you look at the ruler in the corner here, I'll zoom in, you can see he has sealed abilities. So a little bit unfortunate, but I'm sure this was planned ahead before they had everyone voice that they weren't too big a fan of the sealed abilities outside of the context of the lore and all that. I felt it was a cool idea, but I don't feel like it fired off very well, especially considering the amount of variations we're going to have for rulers, people going to GPs and getting gold and bronze rulers that have the sealed abilities still sealed and not unsealed and stuff like that. It's kind of annoying, but it looks cool. I'm pretty excited to take a look at it. And if you look at the poster here, you also can see we'll have, looks like introductions of people like Yun Sylvia, Yun Aliceris, and other ones that you can look at the poster to see more. But kind of cool. I'm pretty excited to see that. And with the introduction of all these different news, we start at spoilers. So if you guys haven't been following as much on our channel, we upload daily videos going over the spoilers. If you're missing that, you can just go to the Force of Will website or their Facebook page, and they upload them every single night around 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we usually have our video up about hour and a half later. And if you guys have seen that, they've introduced new mechanics. They have inversion, which is basically like shift cards, except slightly different, but basically the same as a shift card. Except now it also applies to chance as well. There's some chance with inversion, which is really cool. And there's some mechanics it works with one of the rulers they spoiled as well. And they also introduced Drain, which is basically whenever you attack or deal damage, you gain that much life, is a new mechanic as well. So just some cool stuff to watch out for as these cards are spoiled. A couple other bits of news before we get into the main bit of news, because there's a lot of branches to talk about there with the format changes for GPs. So the first bit of news before that is Caster Chronicles. Quickly, looks like they announced the third booster box for Caster Chronicles is going to be released May 11th, at least in Japan. So in the US, that might be around the same time, or at least within the next month or so from it. And as far as my translation says, Magic Girl the Duel, or Magical Girl Duel. Something along those lines. So it looks pretty interesting. There's the image of it. And we'll come with at least one booster bot, or starter deck, I believe. Not two. So I'm kind of curious what they're releasing, because they need to release all 7 starter decks by the end of the year. At least that's what they originally said. And it would make sense. You would want all 7 before like rotation or whatever they might do happen. So I'm curious how the math of that will end up adding up by the end of the year. So that's something to look forward to if you're into Caster Chronicles. This next set, they've been doing a lot of cool things with switching up the art so it's more uniform with some of the cards and reprinting them. They introduced a cool mechanic. If you like fusion monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh, you'll like this new mechanic. And a lot of just cool interactions that I think are taking the game to a really cool place. So we upload gameplay of that every Friday, or try to, so if you're interested in that, check out those gameplay videos. There's also a tournament in France for Force of Will. It's called the Ultimate Players Tournament. It wasn't a GP or anything, it was just their own tournament. About 50 people showed up in total. It took place last weekend. If you want the details of it as far as ruler breakdown and the top 8 deck lists, you can go to I'll have a link below in the description of an article we have on tcgscrubs.com with all that information. But just a quick breakdown of the top 8. First place was a Fairer deck. Second place was another Fairer deck. Third place, Fairer. Fourth place, Fox deck. That was pretty interesting. Fifth place, another Fairer. Sixth place was a Gill deck, the Green Gill. And seventh place was Fairer. And 8th place was Gil Alhamat. So the 5 Fairers obviously is a little bit disappointing to see that in the top 8. However, the 3 rulers that aren't fair are not only surprising, but they're also pretty cool, because you'd expect Lumia or Evil Tree or something like that that's been topping. But instead we got Gil Alhamat, which we haven't seen in a while, so that's nice to see him. We have a Green Gil, which we haven't seen at all, which I personally think has a lot of potential that I'm hoping to see more of in the future, so that's cool. And we also got the Fox deck, which is, once again, also cool to see back in action, now that it's a bit more balanced out overall. So, once again, if you want the details, both of that, the ruler breakdown, and the exact deck list, just visit the link below. So, moving on to all the information about the GP. So, the CEO had announced that they were going to make some changes to the events going forward, GP events. And he said, including as soon as Richardson. So we were curious what that entailed. It sounded like he was specifically talking about possibly getting rid of sealed events, including getting rid of Richardson's sealed event. And so there's a lot of reactions and different things to that. And so we finally got the article announcing the changes. So a couple things to go over is, first, nothing happened to Richardson, so that could be because he was going to change it maybe from sealed and decided after some of the reactions, mainly that people had already bought like hotels planned on it being sealed, and it's only less than 2 weeks away now, so it's an abrupt change for people to plan for and start playtesting, which I understand. I feel like this announcement should have been made a lot earlier, but you know, it is what it is. So I understand that staying sealed. You guys, like I say, you guys know my opinions on that, but for the other events, Denver, they switched from constructed to sealed, and I'll get back to that in a sec, why it's kind of interesting. Collinsville, they switched from sealed to constructed, New Frontiers, and then Providence, this is the cool one, went from sealed to Wanderer format. So we're gonna have our first ever Wanderer GP. So I'm actually really excited about that. If by some chance I came into some money, or maybe if I won the GP Richardson and sold some of the prize rulers, maybe I'll go to that, because that would be super bad. I don't think I'm any good at Wanderer, but I think it'd just be fun to go to the first ever Wanderer GP. A lot of people excited for that. If you guys are worried about bans, don't worry. Like I've mentioned before, this Providence takes place, I forget what month, May or something like that. I forget the exact month, but it is sometime after when Time Spinning Witch, yeah, it comes out. And as we had mentioned in the last news, that is when they are going to announce a ban list for Wanderer and start supporting Wanderer more intensively and following it and playtesting with it and creating more bans as we go along. So we'll have a full Wanderer ban list updated before that GP happens. So it'll be really cool to see, and I'm actually really excited about that. A couple things so like I had said, the CEO had mentioned that, or had at least given the impression that they had listened to people's feedback about sealed, and maybe we're changing it or doing some sort of change to it, as a lot of people were thinking maybe they're going to do a half and half of sealed and constructed or some other variation. And so it's strange that they kept Richardson sealed. That part isn't strange, but we had 3 sealed events and we went down to 2, but we didn't go down to 2 because they got rid of a sealed event. We got down to 2 because they got rid of a sealed event and another sealed event, and then switched a New Frontiers event into a sealed event. So we're still at the, we only went down 1 sealed event, but it like switched a New Frontiers one. So people were planning to do New Frontiers, suddenly got changed around and now are doing sealed when they might not have wanted to. And people who are looking forward to the sealed one are now doing constructed when they didn't want to. So instead of just ripping off a band-aid and being like, all right, say this constructed event is no longer sealed, and you'd have that group of people mad. Now you have people upset that this this sealed is no longer sealed, and you have people mad that this constructed is no longer constructed and it's now sealed. And it also makes you wonder why they switched sealed away from constructed in the first place, because if they didn't think sealed was competitive or didn't want it in GP because of the reaction, then why would you switch constructed to sealed in response to that? So I'm kind of confused on some of that switching around overall. Why not just keep the sealed events sealed if you're going to go through with having sealed GPs anyways? I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but or maybe I'm not conveying myself correctly. But I'm super confused about that bit of information. Why get rid of some sealed and then introduce sealed where there wasn't sealed events in the first place? I'm saying sealed a lot, but yeah. So let me know your thoughts on that, because I'm kind of confused on it. But another interesting thing to note is we had a to be determined for the California GP and to be determined for the Hawaii GP as far as dates, times, format, and all that. And now those are no longer on the page. It's important to note that both of those GPs are run by different tournament organizers than all the rest of the GPs. The other 6 GPs are run by Robert, and the remaining 2 are other tournament organizers. And so they just hadn't given information to the company or what have you before, and that's why they're to be determined. And they're gone now, so what that means, we're not sure. The official top of the page still says 8 GPs, so it could be that Forceville took those off the page temporarily while they figure it out, whether talking to those tournament organizers and getting it sort of squared away before they add it back onto their website, or maybe they're looking at switching tournament organizers, maybe back over to Robert or some other tournament organizer, so that's more clean and in sync with what they're doing. Not sure exactly. I wouldn't go as far as say that maybe they're canceled, because it still says 8 GPs on the page, and it'd be kind of weird to get rid of a GP that's in California, which is where a large scene is. And that's where Joey is, and he was looking forward to that, so hopefully those will come back soon. A couple side things to note out of this. One, it was interesting that I'd made a post about this in the US group, and Robert, who coordinates those 6 GPs I talked about, had said that with this announcement was the first time he heard about them switching some of those sealed to constructed, constructed to sealed, having Wanderer now, etc. And it's the first time he heard of it, so he's got to go and make sure that they have the resources and everything in order to do that. I'm sure it's fine and they'll get it, obviously squared away. But I do find that kind of weird that the company wouldn't inform him first to make sure that he's on board for it, able to fully support it, and also so he's not just feels blindsided and is getting news like the rest of us. I felt that was kind of strange, so I hope that they're keeping up good communication with him, because he's doing a lot for the game, and it's kind of weird that he got kept out of the loop for that. On a side note, Jim with the ARG, who he runs the ARGs and all that, said that he was really excited with all the changes with the GP, and that he was talking with the CEO and different things that they could do for the ARG, and the possibility of, with the invitational ARG, which is what you get invites for from winning the ARG, about possibly having all three formats there, Wanderer, New Frontiers, and Sealed, which would be really cool to have all in one place. I don't know if that means like you do one competition with all three formats, or you'll have the main format New Frontiers with those as big side events, or some combination of all those. But I'm really excited to to see the community embrace Wanderer. Like I had mentioned before, I don't know if it was in the news or the podcast, but I really want Force of Will to embrace it in the same way that say Pokemon embraced it, expanded for the most part, where it was just part of the competitive market. If you want to be competitive, you did what would be New Frontiers and Wander. So, and it helps with the aftermarket prices, especially cards that are rotated that are completely useless in 5 cents now. It gets that all circulating back into the market again. He was already saying just with the announcement of Wander, they were already having their sales go up just in that first couple hours of its announcement. So I'm really glad that we're making these steps toward Wander and all that. Still super confused about what's going on with Sealed, like I said, but you know, it is what it is at this point. I still hold to my theory. If my theory is correct, I'll be happy. If you missed that, go listen to our podcast or check out last week's news article. But yeah, that's everything. If you want to check out the article version of the news, check it out in the link description in the check it out, the link in the description below. If you want to support us, patreon.com/TCGscrubs. You can also join our Discord, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff is linked below. And I'll see you guys next week.